Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Huck. Today I'm doing my June reading predictions. So this is not quite a TBR. It's not as strictly like I'm definitely gonna read these, more just me trying to guess and predict what I'm going to be in the mood to read in June. So May was a really good reading month for me. I read some great books and I am excited to continue that in June. I hope that June is also a really good reading month. And now summer is going to be in full swing for me, so I feel like I can get a lot of reading done. First up, I am finishing a book that I've already started, which is Flame of Seven Waters by Juliet Marillier. This is the final book in her Seven Waters series that I have been rereading. It's a Celtic historical fantasy that follows a family throughout the generations of women who are healers and druids and things like that. Their family has a special relationship with the forest that they live near, where there are the fair folk who live in the forest. The people of Seven Waters take care of the forest and make sure that the fair folk have somewhere to live, and the fair folk in return protect the people of Seven Waters from outsiders and intruders. Flame of Seven Waters follows Maeve, who is one of the daughters of the chieftain of Seven Waters. Maeve was severely injured as a child in a fire. She has many burns and other injuries from this fire. She had been sent to live with her aunt, who lives in another country, because her aunt is an amazing healer and they're hoping that she would be able to heal Maeve to the best of her ability. But now Maeve has been living there for quite a long time and is kind of afraid to go back home to face where she was injured, to face her family that she is afraid will be disappointed in her. And in this story, she is forced to go back home to her family who lives in Seven Waters to confront her past, to confront her family, and to continue her life. And as I said, I've already started reading this one. I am a pretty short way in. So far, it's not really my favorite book in the series, but I always enjoyed Juliet Marillier's books, so I'm excited to finish reading this one in June. The next book that I'm going to be reading in June, and this one is kind of a definite because I need to read this one already, which is Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert A. Heinlein. I don't know if that's how you say his name. That's how I've been saying it, and it sounds funny to me, but I don't know how to say it. So if anyone has suggestions for how you pronounce his last name, let me know. Anyways, this one is a classic science fiction that is on my list of science fiction through the decades. This is the 60s book. It follows a man who grew up on Mars and then comes back to Earth and is kind of having to learn how to live on Earth as a human among Earth humans. And it's supposed to, I think, kind of give an outside perspective of humanity because it is someone who has not grown up among other Earth humans. This one, as I said, is on my list for the reading challenge that I am doing this year, and there are 6 books on this list. I've only read 1 so far, and we're like halfway through the year, so I need to get on this and read the rest of the books on this list. So this one is definitely gonna have to happen in June. So the next few books that I have are a little bit more like loose predictions, like this video is supposed to be. And first up, we have The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw. This is a pretty recent release. I think it came out in March and I recently hauled it. This is a witchy kind of book. It takes place in a town which actually I think is in Oregon. At first I think I said in my haul that it took place in Washington State, but I think it actually takes place in a town in Oregon, so sorry about that. But this takes place in a town where during the witch trials, 3 women were drowned as witches. Now every summer their spirits come back to inhabit the bodies of 3 girls, and they use those bodies to lure boys to their deaths. And this is something that the town has just kind of accepted as part of the way life is in this town. But we follow the perspective of a girl, Penny, one summer when a new boy moves into town, and she doesn't want him to die, especially because he doesn't know that this is something that happens to this town every summer. And so her trying to save him is really what starts off this whole adventure. This one I am really looking forward to because I have really been wanting to read more witchy books. I have heard that this one is great and dark and atmospheric, and that's exactly what I want. So really excited to read this one. Next up, I have another witchy book that I recently hauled, which is The Witches of Lynchburg. This is another contemporary fantasy that takes place in a small town that happens to be right on the barrier between 2 worlds, and that barrier has to be protected. But there is a large supermarket chain that wants to build a supermarket right on that barrier, and that will disrupt the barrier and possibly let malevolent beings into our world. We follow the main character, Judith, who is determined to prevent this from happening and to protect the town and the people who live in it. This one is a little novella, so I think it'll go pretty quick. And again, I've been wanting to read witchy books, so I'm looking forward to this one as well. And next, I am thinking I will read The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. This one follows the Scorpio Races, which take place every year in November, where people ride magical horses. It's an extremely dangerous competition. People can die. And we follow two characters who are in this race. They each have their own motivations for entering such a dangerous competition. I've been trying to read all of Maggie Stiefvater's books, so this one's next up on the chopping block. This is the next one that I'm planning to read. I don't really know what to expect, but I usually enjoy her books. And last up, I have Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. This is the first book in her Live Ship Traders trilogy. I am finally going to get to this one. I have been meaning to read it all year, but I keep putting it off because it's a pretty chunky book. It's like over 800 pages, so I've kind of been putting this one off. But I think June will be the perfect month to read it in because last year in June is when I read Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb, which was my favorite book in her Farseer trilogy, and that's the one that really sold me on Robin Hobb as an author. So now in my mind, June is like the month that I read Robin Hobb books. Those two things are now just like associated in my mind, so I think I will be in the right mood to read Ship of Magic. This follows our main character, Althea, who has recently inherited a live ship. Live ships are made out of wizard wood, which is a special kind of magical wood that if a certain series of events happens, the wood and the ship itself gains sentience, and so they are extremely valuable ships. Our main character, Althea, has recently inherited one of these extremely valuable sentient live ships, but there's also a pirate who wants this ship because they are so valuable, and so Althea must struggle against him to keep her ship. I've actually heard from a lot of people that this is their favorite series of Robin Hobb's books, so I have pretty high hopes for this one. So those are all my predictions of what books I'm going to be reading in June. Let me know what books you're planning to read. I'd love to hear about it. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, bye!